Hello, everybody. Just wanted to show off BiNet USA's unveiling of the POC bi flag that they created in time for National Bisexuality Day, which is today, September 23rd, 2019. I just love that flag because it is so me, a person of color who is bi. So, I just wanted to show that off before I get started with my little video here for National Bisexuality Day. So, who I am and my work in the BIPOC community, and hopefully I won't go on and on. As I said before, I'm Kimberly. I usually put out a video every year for National Bisexuality Day. I have been running the Bi Plus initiative of Ohio for quite a number of years now. I've been running it since our original leader stepped down in 2001. So I've tried to take over the reins and, run the group since then. Gotta show off my headband. I got this at Akron Pride. But, sorry, I tried to show off my bi stuff. My bisexual buddy here. Like I said, sorry to get diverted. I've been running the website and trying to keep some sort of social support group together since that time. I've had a couple of co-facilitators run it with me right now. It's just the website and it's just me. Recently, the Bi Plus network of Cleveland, run by three very lovely ladies, burst onto the scene, and they were able to do what I've been trying to do here in Cleveland, Ohio for a long time, which is establish a vibrant and connective and supportive Bi Plus community. So, they've done a great job, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy to, be a part of it and, just see the magic happen and just see, my dreams come to life. I still hope that those same dreams can happen all over the state of Ohio, which is why I want to keep the Bi Plus initiative that I've been running going, and just sort of opened it up to Ohio, because the dream that's happened here in Cleveland, I really hope that can happen all over the state. It seems now that everyone's come together in Cleveland that all the other groups in Ohio, well, there was only the big one in Columbus, and that one folded earlier this year. So, and the Akron Bi Pride group has been sort of disappeared for a long, long time. So it would be great to see a Bi Plus community come back to Columbus, come back to Akron, come to Cincinnati, come to Dayton, come to Toledo, and, just provide a Bi Plus community all over the state. That's pretty much my dream. And that's pretty much my passion with my main passion, why I still keep up the website and keep up with bi events and, heavily immerse myself in bi circles. because I want to bring that kind of support and community and awareness to the entire state. And also because I need the support myself, which is what has brought me to this video. And well, yes, which has brought me to this video around about sort of a roundabout what's brought me to this video, because as you see in the title, it's embracing the stereotype, because I just want to know. I want to know the good things about embracing the bisexual stereotype, the pitfalls, the hardships. I want to dig into it. And normally, I've tried for the past couple of years, I've tried to have sort of a mini online conference on sort of bi plus topics. And this year, the topic didn't really hit with people, but it is one that I'm working through and struggling with. So I decided to put out an individual video for it. So hopefully that's not a long, too long-winded, who I am and my dreams and my work within the local BIPUS community. And it's not necessarily just sort of creating a community, but also sort of expressing my personal hardships and triumphs with my bi identity. I do that through my writing. In literary circles, I am the B word poet. The B word obviously being bisexual, where I write poetry and short stories and clips, again, about my hardships, my triumphs, my thoughts about my bi identity and how I feel the community at large and society views my bi identity. So, and also, I found out and have pledged myself to I didn't know it would show up like that. Oh, there it is. Sorry, we're doing this on the fly. Alpha Zeta Gamma Sorority Incorporated, which is the first Greek letter organization catering to the specific needs of bisexual women. So I have pledged to the beta chapter. I am soror enthusiastic, and my line name is Sapphire Dreams. I have pledged along with 3 other beautiful, strong, and independent bisexual ladies who I am so blessed and honored to call my new sisters. And yes, I've pretty much run the gamut of my sort of bi plus community involvement. National organizations like my sorority, or with my writing, or with just establishing sort of an in-person as well as an online community for bi people. So I didn't want it to be long-winded, but that's a long-winded me. So, my bi plus identity, I identify as bi-romantic, demisexual. I identify as biromantic because I am demisexual, which means I am on the asexual spectrum, which means I do not experience sexual attraction whatsoever. I do welcome more physical forms of intimacy once I've developed a deep bond with someone. But because of that, I do not call myself bisexual. I call myself biromantic because I experience romantic attraction. I experience romantic attraction to men and women. So that's how I've identified. When I very first came out of the closet at 19, I identified as lesbian, which is usually not the way things go. Usually, well, not usually, but a lot of times people may come out as bi before they realize that maybe they are more sorry, I'm studying my words here, that they are gay or lesbian. But I have had to deal with some trauma, some sexual trauma in my early years, and because of that, it sort of happened around the time that I started exploring and wondering, you know, why am I wanting a relationship with her when I should be wanting relationships with these boys over here? So, and then when the sexual trauma happened, well, I don't want any sort of romantic or anything from boys. But I still want this from girls. So maybe I'm a lesbian. And after getting some therapy and some hearts from some very close friends and going to the original Bi and Beyond group that was local, that was run by the person who I took over from, Sarah Young, I realized that just because I've gone through sexual trauma does not mean that it doesn't affect my sexual orientation. Just because I've been assaulted by men does not mean that I cannot form romantic attraction to men. I just needed some time. So I came out after I started dating a lovely guy. After I started dating him, people were like, I thought you were lesbian. Like, oh no, I'm bi. Like, what? So that was fun. And yeah, I've identified as bisexual for a long time. And it fit me, but it felt like it didn't completely fit me because it felt way too sexual. And because of the trauma from my past and just how, well, now I know because how I'm wired, because I'm demisexual, there were things that weren't clicking together for me. Like, how could I be bisexual but yet not want sex? I couldn't understand it, but I still deeply felt bi. Like, I definitely just bi fit me, and I wanted to leave it at that, but then I'm like, that still just doesn't feel like it covers me. Like, it feels like, okay, bi is the main identity, but now it feels like there should be something where I'm bi, but I'm not sexual. So how can you be bi and not sexual? And once I stepped into the asexual community and started coming to terms with my demisexuality and learned about biromantic, I'm like, that's what it is. Ah, my bag flag. It went away. Excuse me for a second. Okay, there we go. Just drape it over. But that's when I found, that's the word, biromantic. I'm bi. I experience I'm bi in that I seek relationships with men and women, but I don't seek sexual relationships with men and women. I seek romantic relationships with men and women. That biromantic, and then added on the demisexual, like, that did it. So my bi plus identity is biromantic demisexual. So, why embracing the stereotype? I picked that topic because, in addition to my journey with my main identity, which is biromantic demisexual, I have struggled with coupling that with my relationship style. My preferred relationship style. When I first was going to Bi and Beyond in the very early 2000s and sort of talking with other bi people and exploring the bi plus world, I heavily identified as monogamous, and I still hold to a lot of I guess I want to say monogamous ideals, if that makes any sense. And in as far as, if I find myself in a romantic relationship with a guy, I would not want any other guy. I would just want him. And the same thing if I found myself in a romantic relationship with another woman. I wouldn't want another woman. I would just want her. And as I got older and I got to a point where I felt like I definitely felt like monogamy was great, but there seemed to be this, and it's very prevalent with bisexuals having to make you choose between, okay, well, do you want to be with a guy? Do you want to be with a girl? Like, why can't you just pick one and just stay with it? Like, and it's like, I just got to a point where I just felt like, well, why do I have to choose? Why can't I have a monogamous relationship with a guy and a monogamous relationship with a girl and not have to choose between them? So obviously that led me to other circles, a lot of which I'll talk about in the questions coming up. or well, the questions themselves will tell you the situations that I've found myself in, where I'm like, this feels like this is what I'm looking for, but it's not what I'm looking for. And as I sort of shifted into moving into more polyamorous circles, some of it spoke to me, but it still felt like it wasn't quite right. It still felt like a lot of chaos. It didn't feel like just two monogamous relationships. It just felt like it didn't feel like two monogamous relationships. Like I am definitely there, once, it's, monogamy is great, but it should not always be king. It should not be always pushed down everyone's throats if that's not where your heart is. If your heart is not completely just one person till you die, then it shouldn't be that way. And if it is, then that's great too. And I didn't feel like I was getting that message from either group, monogamy or the polyamorous groups. So, but within the polyamorous groups, I came upon polyfidelity, which was exactly what I had been thinking of, but I just didn't have a word for it because I felt like maybe, and I received the vibe, particularly in polyamorous circles, that what I wanted was a threesome, or what I wanted was a closed triad, or things that it seemed like it fit, but not really. Like a threesome, definitely not what I was thinking, because that's definitely more sexual, and I am on the asexual spectrum, so that definitely does not appeal to me. A closed triad comes very close. I think I'm not all the way there emotionally to handle if I found myself in a romantic relationship with a couple that all of us would just be together. It feels too, like it feels more intimate than a threesome type scenario, but it still feels like a threesome type scenario. At least it still feels that way to me. And but that came close to it. So I identified there for a while that I was looking for a closed triad, even though I wasn't really sure, but it just felt like that was kind of sort of where I was, but it still didn't fit what I was looking for. Then there's also the swinger circles, which was definitely more towards the sexual aspect of it, which that did not appeal to me. Like I said, a lot of things came close. The closed triad came the closest, but it wasn't there. And then when I started reading about polyfidelity, I'm like, that's what it is. Multiple monogamous relationships. And that's exactly what I want. But on the outside looking in, I would be a bisexual woman in a relationship with another woman and also in a relationship with a guy, which would literally look like embracing the stereotype of a bisexual person who needs both and is greedy. So, because I've had a lot of issues sort of even finding the right words and finding the right community for these sort of love relationships that I personally am seeking for myself, I wanted to know, what are other people's experience with embracing these stereotypes? What are other people's experience in the bi hookup culture, in navigating couples looking for a third, in navigating being in relationships with men, women, non-binary, trans, intersex, gender queer. You know, what are people's experiences, good or bad? I want to know. I want to know what it is to embrace the stereotype, because I've finally put a name to what I want, and I'm sort of comfortable advocating that no, it may sound like I'm looking for a closed triad. It may sound like I'm looking for a threesome, but I'm not. I'm more comfortable with that now. So I want to know other people's experiences in all those communities, because it helps open up the conversations, and it helps me learn more, and hopefully it helps other people learn more. And I hope it just grows the community, because some of us embrace the stereotype. So, how does one feel about how people can have relationships with multiple genders? My answer to that has definitely changed over the years. Like I've said before, I've definitely run through the gamut of identifying as monogamous to identifying as poly to now identifying as polyfidelity, as a polyfidelist person, which I probably don't have the tongue to say that right. But I definitely, I mean, because of my relationship orientation, I definitely feel like it's a cool thing. If you date or want to date or are with multiple genders, totally cool, totally awesome, and it should definitely be celebrated and respected. And yeah, I have a cat named Friendly. He's most likely going to be making appearances throughout these videos from now on, so just get ready for him just randomly all over me. So but I definitely think it's a good thing. I hope I can one day find those that I can connect with on a deep levels, to give my heart to them. So, hi. My favorite question. how does one feel about bi people and bi plus people in straight looking relationships looking for other bi plus people for sex? As someone on the asexual spectrum, personally, it can be quite discouraging. It can be quite, it it can be quite discouraging. Just feeling like one's purpose is to be a human phallic object for a couple, is it's definitely not a good feeling. And I can freely admit that I've had my bitterness with it. I can also admit, though, that on the other side of things, if I try to put myself in that position, if I found a guy that I could form a romantic relationship with, I would still want a separate monogamous relationship with another woman. And at that point, I would be a bi plus person in a straight looking relationship looking for a bi plus person. So I can see it from the other side, that need does need to be filled, because there are a lot of bi plus people who find the right guy before they find the right person, find the right guy before they find the right girl, or they find the right girl before they find the right guy. And now they have to navigate looking like the predator coming after the single people. Like, I know I have someone, but I want you too. So, and if you look at personals all over any website, all over the internet, and even in person when you go to bars and clubs, there is a huge amount of straight or straight looking couples looking for a third person for whatever configuration, whether they're looking for a closed triad or whether they're looking for a threesome, or whether they're looking for a swinging type of relationship, or if they're even looking for something polyfidelous. You can't escape them. So there needs to be a place for them to go to find someone to suit those needs, because those needs are valid and they do make up a ton of the community. There are a ton of bi plus people in straight looking relationships that also want a same gendered relationship as well. So that community is severely underserved. They are underserved, and it's a shame. Like I said, personally, it can be discouraging, but then looking on the other hand, that's a community that needs to be looked at and needs to be tended to. And why, why is that community so big? Is that community so big because there's such a backlash of a bisexual person living the stereotype? Are there so many people who won't be a third to couples because they are afraid to look the part of a greedy, sex crave bisexual? Or are there a larger number of bisexuals who are on the asexual spectrum who are not into that scene? Or are there just a larger number of bisexuals who, bi plus individuals who are sexual, but are looking for something that doesn't make them feel like they could just be exchanged for any other bi plus person to fit that couple's needs? It's a very complicated question, and I wish it was one that I could answer adequately, and I definitely wish that it was more than just my thoughts on these videos, to give more perspectives and experience. But all I can offer is my personal experience, sort of navigating couples and sort of being told by because of the relationship configurations that I want for myself, that is all I am that is all I can have, is couples. So I guess, how do I feel about it? I feel conflicted. That is my roundabout simple answer of, I feel conflicted about couples looking for bi plus people to have sex with. How does one feel about the bi plus hookup culture? That is another question that I am conflicted about, because I don't think that is a underserved market by any means. Personally, for obvious reasons, it's not for me. But I think it should be available, because the majority of the population is sexual, and the majority of the population is not only sexual but also sex positive. So they deserve to be able to have safe, casual sex. And yeah. Like, I guess there really isn't any other way for me to feel about it. They deserve that, and they should have that, and it's personally not something that I want. So I think as a whole, all of these relationship configurations, monogamous, polyamorous, hookup, threesome, closed triad, polyfidelis, was it just, non-monogamy just in general, just the huge, because non-monogamy is just huge. That is just the overall, like just non-monogamy in general, monogamy, all of these relationship configurations that a bi plus person can desire for themselves and want for themselves and advocate for themselves and search out for themselves, just make the community bigger and make the community more connected in more ways than one. But it can definitely connect us all, because dating sucks and dating is hard. Relationships are hard. Sex is hard. Like sex can be hard. It can be hard to figure out. It's just hard. And all of it comes together. It affects us all, whether we are sexual or non-sexual. Sex affects us. So, what one group of bi plus people goes through when it comes to sex and relationship, the other group goes through, or all the bi plus groups go through, go through the motions of trying to navigate romance, sex, and relationships, and all just to make the community bigger, make it wider, make it more make it more understandable to those who are not bi plus. Just because you're not bi plus doesn't mean that, just because you're bi plus doesn't mean that you don't fall in love. Just because you're bi plus doesn't mean that you don't want casual sex. Just because you're bi plus doesn't mean you do want casual sex. Just because you're bi plus doesn't mean that you are monogamous. Just because you're bi plus doesn't mean that you're poly. It brings in so many more intersectionalities when we are allowed to look for and advocate for and respect what we want. So there it is. So, yeah. I feel like it just makes the community better if we're all together, going through differences, but we're all still the same because we're still all bi plus. So I wanted to finish this out, since I was not able to acquire any other thoughts on these questions that I've been posing for myself. One of the main things I wanted to know is, because we're talking about all of the hardships and the intersectionalities and even just the beginnings, even just laying down, okay, what's my orientation? Okay, what's my relationship orientation? Okay, now navigating monogamy and polyamory and, hookup culture and threesomes and, navigating all this stuff. But it's like, and it can feel frustrating and unsatisfying. So what are the roses of it? That's one thing, like I said, I definitely wish that I had other minds, because I would definitely want to know from other people what are the roses of it. For me, what could be the roses of it is just just being completely selfish and just sort of knowing that I have given my heart to this amazing guy that, and also that I've given my heart to an amazing woman. I don't know. I love love. I love love, and I love everything about it. And I definitely it's just such a special personal thing to me. And to be able to find two people that I can sort of share different parts of myself with, like share my whole self, but different parts of myself with in a different way than I would with my friends or with my family or with my coworkers or with just acquaintances. Like someone who just knows me more intimately than all of those people in my life. I feel like that would definitely be the roses for me, is having two people in my life romantically that I could just be like, yeah. Like, this is great. Like, I'm in love. Like, they are so awesome and they are so wonderful and they are just such wonderful people. I'm curious to know who they'll be and their lives and what they fight for and what they love, and just be a part of that, be a part of their lives, to have their lives enrich mine and bring more information and experience and just camaraderie and affection. And I long to know others in a romantic way, and I think that would be the roses for me, is knowing that I have that, and hopefully not taking that for granted, and just staying with those relationships as long as we're together. I don't know how else to word that. But yeah, that would be the roses for me. Giving myself, my romantic self, to two great people. To two great people. That's the dream for me. That's the dream. So, I hope you've enjoyed my little ramblings this evening. My flag falling on me. I found this image on Facebook, because Facebook is life. And I decided to put it on a t-shirt. So, big, black, and bi. Yeah. And beautiful. Yeah, no, it says beautiful. But, anyways. But yeah, I saw this and I'm like, oh, this is so me. Big, black, and bi. Yes. So, like it said, I hope you enjoy. Oh yeah, and have my little kitty. Oh, he's looking at me from over there now. My little kitty making his debut. Coming up for myself personally, I submitted a clip for Crush magazine, which comes through the Bi Arts Festival in Toronto. That just passed this weekend. My piece was accepted, accepting being a queer black bi individual. That was accepted for publication with Crush magazine. So that's pretty cool. I have been trying for years to get to the Because conference, which is the only conference in the United States dedicated to bisexuality and bisexual issues, and I will be there in October. So bought my ticket, got my hotel room, so I am like really excited. Something I have it's the farthest I'll ever be away from home by myself, but it's something I've been looking forward to sort of push my bi plus community passion forward. So and yeah, it just, I don't know. I don't even know if I can just like word write everything with it. But yeah, that'll be happening in October. I believe it is the weekend of October 11th, 12th, and 13th, if I'm not mistaken. That's also October 11th. That's also National Coming Out Day. So, but yeah, because Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yes, I believe it starts October 11th, goes to the 12th and the 13th, and it is in Minnesota, right? It's far. it's far. I'm nervous because it's far. But yeah, I mean, I'm still completely excited to be going. It's a huge opportunity, and yeah, I'm just glad I'll be able to do it. So, and also, the call has been put out for the Bisexual Book Awards. Once again, call out for judges. So, I am definitely hoping to get on the judges panel this year and, read some great, bi books coming out from all the great authors, because I definitely want to support other bi authors out here and, hopefully be able to reward their work. So those are all these sort of personal individual bi news coming up for me. You say a new writing clip coming out, and the Because conference, and then the Bi Book Awards. So I will see you all next year. Hopefully I will have a conference for you. And if not, you'll just get another awkward video like this. So bye.